Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Once again I am in front of you with a new topic related to chemical properties of metals. We have lost in two topics. We have discussed the physical properties of metals and physical properties of non-metals. Today we will discuss some important chemical properties of the metals. So far as the metals are concerned, they are electropositive elements. They are electropositive elements. So we can say that metals usually lose electrons. They usually lose electrons. Their valent electrons, they lose it and form the electropositive ions. So far as their chemical properties is concerned, their first property is metals reaction with oxygen. Reaction of metals with oxygen. When metals combines with the oxygen, they form the metal oxides. So we can say when metals combines with oxygen, they form the metal oxides. Here we take an example, and these metal oxides are basic in nature. First we have said that reaction of metals with oxygen. When metals combine with oxygen, they form the metal oxides, and these metal oxides are basic in nature. Here we take an example related to sodium. Sodium is a metal. When it combines with the oxygen, it forms sodium oxide. Here it combines with the oxygen gas. 4 sodium atoms combines with a molecule of oxygen to form sodium oxide, Na2O. Here is 2 times. This is a balanced chemical equation. Here is the sodium. It is a metal. It combines with oxygen and form the sodium oxide. Here we see that sodium combines with the oxygen and form sodium oxide. Or we can say reaction of metals, when they combine with the oxygen, they form the metal oxides. Here sodium is a metal and it is combined with the oxygen, so forms the metal oxide. And here sodium combines with oxygen and form the sodium oxide. And the sodium oxide, it is basic in nature. It has a basic characteristic. Next thing related to them is, if this sodium oxide when combines with the water, it forms sodium hydroxide. This sodium hydroxide is an alkali. I will repeat again. If we take this sodium oxide, that is basic in nature, and if we combine it with the water, it forms the sodium hydroxide, and the sodium hydroxide, it is an alkali. So the first property of metal is that chemical property of metal is that metals combines with the oxygen and they form the metal oxides. And these metal oxides, when combines with the water, they form the alkalis. Here we take the example of sodium. When sodium combines with the oxygen, it forms sodium oxide, and sodium oxide, when combines with the water, it forms the sodium hydroxide. We will take another example related to this reaction of metals with oxygen. We take the example of magnesium. If we take the magnesium ribbon and it does not react at room temperature ordinarily, but it takes some heat. So it burns in presence of oxygen, and it forms the magnesium oxide. And it forms here magnesium oxide. 2 times magnesium combines with the oxygen and forms 2 times MgO. This is a balanced chemical equation. In balanced chemical equation, we can say that the number of reactants should be equivalent to the number of products. This you will study in your 10th class when you go through the chemical equations and reactions. And here we take 2 magnesium atoms, and there is formation of 2 magnesium also. Here is 2 oxygen atoms, and there is also 2 oxygen atoms. This is a balanced chemical equation. So we can say magnesium combines with the oxygen and form the magnesium oxide. So in these 2 examples, we see that either it is sodium or it is magnesium. These these 2 metals combines with the oxygen and form their respective oxides. Sodium forms the sodium oxide and magnesium forms the magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is also basic in nature. This is the first chemical property of metals, that metals combines with the oxygen and form the metal oxides, and these metal oxides are basic in nature. Now the second property of these metals is reaction with water. Reaction of metals with water. What happens when these metals combines with the water, and what is formed? Here we take the example of sodium again. We take the example of sodium, and when it combines with the water, it forms the sodium hydroxide. It forms the sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen gas. So sodium as a metal combines with water and forms the sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. Here 2 sodium atoms combines with 2 molecules of water and form the sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen gas. This is a balanced chemical equation. Here 2 sodium atoms, this is 2 sodium atoms, 2 times 2, 2 2s are 4, 2 hydrogen and 2 this 4, oxygen 2 here and 2 there, and this is a balanced chemical equation. We can say it is a balanced chemical equation. There the number of reactants are equivalent to the number of products. So this is the reaction of metals with water. So when we can say that when metals combines with water, they form their hydroxides. Here sodium combines with the water, it forms the sodium hydroxide, and there is a formation of a gas that is called hydrogen gas. Another example related is calcium. We take here calcium. When we take calcium and it combines with the water, it forms the calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide, CaOH whole 2 plus hydrogen gas. Calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. In these 2 examples, we have seen 2 similarities there. That is, in both the reactions, hydrogen gas is formed. In first reaction, when we take sodium in presence of water, it forms the sodium hydroxide, and there is the formation of hydrogen gas. And when we take the calcium in water, it forms calcium hydroxide plus hydrogen gas. This is a balanced chemical equation. So this is the second chemical property of this metal, is that when metal is combined with the water, they form the hydroxide, and in addition to that, they form the hydrogen gas that is common in both of them. And number next, we take one more example related to magnesium. If we take the magnesium in presence of water, here also the same procedure followed. Magnesium hydroxide is formed plus hydrogen gas. Also, magnesium is a metal, it combines with water and it forms the magnesium hydroxide here. Magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is also formed here. So in all these three examples we have seen that whenever metal combines with the water, it forms the hydrogen gas. There is a production of a hydrogen gas, and also their hydroxides are formed. This is the second important chemical property of metals, that metals combines with the water and therefore produces a hydrogen gas. And number third, reaction of metals with dilute acids. A reaction of metals with dilute acids. When metal is combined with dilute acids, what is formed? Here, when metal is combined with dilute acid, it forms metal salt plus hydrogen. Metal salt plus hydrogen. This is a common example for those where metal is combined with dilute acids and these form metal salt plus hydrogen gas. We take the example of sodium. Sodium is a metal. When it combines with HCl, hydrochloric acid, dilute hydrochloric acid, it replaces here hydrogen and forms a common salt, sodium chloride plus hydrogen gas. We can balance this chemical equation by this. 2 times sodium, there is 2 times sodium, 2 times chlorine, 2 times chlorine, 2 times hydrogen, 2 times hydrogen, and hydrogen gas is formed. This is a sodium chloride salt. And here sodium combines with hydrochloric acid. Dilute hydrochloric acid when combines with sodium, so there is a formation of sodium chloride and hydrogen gas. So we can say that whenever metals react with dilute acids, they form metal salts and there is a formation of a hydrogen gas. And next example related to the same property is when magnesium combines with HCl. Magnesium combines with HCl, hydrochloric acid, there is a formation of magnesium chloride plus hydrogen gas. We can balance this chemical equation by this 2 magnesium 1, 2 times hydrogen, 2 times hydrogen, 2 times chlorine, 2 times chlorine. So this is a balanced chemical equation. and when magnesium combines with hydrochloric acid, there is a formation of magnesium chloride. This is magnesium chloride, a salt, and there is a formation of hydrogen gas also. So these are the three important chemical properties. We will discuss some more properties related to the reaction of metals with dilute acids. Here we take the example of hydrochloric acid. We combine sodium and magnesium with dilute hydrochloric acid, and there is a formation of sodium chloride salt. There is also a metal salt, and there is a production of hydrogen gas. Some more examples related to this. Iron plus HCl. When iron combines with hydrochloric acid, what is formed? There is a formation of FeCl2. FeCl2 plus hydrogen gas. We can also balance this chemical equation by this. Iron 1 times, 2 times chlorine, 2 times chlorine, and 2 times hydrogen, and 2 times hydrogen. This salt that is formed iron chloride. It is also known as iron 2 chloride. Iron 2 chloride. This is the reaction of metals with HCl. Some more examples. If we take the example of copper plus HCl. Copper plus HCl. Does copper combines with the HCl? No. Because copper is less reactive. Similarly, if we take the example of silver and we take the example of gold, these metals are also less reactive in nature. They are very less reactive in nature, due to which they do not react with any type of acid, and we can say no reaction take place. No reaction. If we take carbon and we combine it any dilute acid, or we here take the example of dilute HCl, no reaction is, because this copper is very less reactive in nature. In addition to that, aluminium, silver and gold, these are also less reactive in nature. We take some examples of this third property reaction of metal and dilute acids with the H2SO4 sulfuric acid. Reaction of metals with dilute H2SO4. You should remember these reactions when metals combines with dilute H2SO4. If we take the sodium with H2SO4, 2 times sodium combines with H2SO4, and it forms here sodium sulfate plus hydrogen gas. Sodium sulfate plus hydrogen gas. Number next, if we take the example of magnesium plus H2SO4, it forms magnesium sulfate plus hydrogen gas. Number third, 2 times aluminium plus 2 times H2SO4 sulfuric acid, and 3 times sulfuric acid. It forms AlSO4 whole 2 3 plus hydrogen gas. Number next, if we take zinc plus H2SO4, it gives zinc sulfate plus hydrogen gas. And now next, if we take iron plus H2SO4, it gives iron sulfate plus hydrogen gas. And again, if we take copper plus H2SO4, no reaction. As we have mentioned earlier, when we combine copper with the dilute hydrochloric acid, here also no reaction takes place. And in this very case, when we combine copper with dilute H2SO4, no reaction takes place. In these examples, we have seen that these metals combines with the dilute acids. Here we take the example of dilute hydrochloric acid, dilute sulfuric acid, and they form the metal salts. In addition to that, there is a formation of the hydrogen gas. But in case of copper, it is very less reactive in nature. It does not react with any kind of acid, and there is no reaction takes place. So these are the three important properties of metals. I will shortly sum up my topic. First, we have seen in first case, when metals combines with oxygen, they form the metal oxides. These metal oxides are basic in nature. And in the next, we have seen when reaction of metals with water. When metals combines with water, they form the metal hydroxides plus hydrogen gas. And when metals combine with dilute acids, they form the metal salt and hydrogen gas. So these are the three very important properties of chemical properties of metals. In the next topic, we will discuss, inshallah, chemical properties of non-metals. Have a nice day. Assalamu alaikum.